welcome to the last talk of the day. And we're ending on a good note with Matt and Cullan. Welcome to Around.
Hello. Is everything oriented, right? We don't need to flip it?
We can't really hear you so well.
Oh, okay. I'm behind the microphone. Can you hear me now?
Not so good. You might not be working. You might have to connect it to Zoom or something.
I can hear pretty good on this side, Daniela. I don't know if.
Yeah. How about now? Is it still?
Yeah, it's okay.
Good.
It seems like people are getting it. It might be me, actually. All right. Cool. All right. Well, so Matt Antes and Cullan Kerner are two independent industrial designers and co-founders of Studio, based in Richmond, Virginia, in the US. They have developed a workflow specifically to bring virtual modeled objects to life via robotic automation and 3D printing. So they're definitely doing something really, really cool. And this is the reason why we invited them to talk around their design process and fabrication. So without any further ado, I leave it to you, Matt and Cullan, and see you back for the Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Daniela. Hello, everyone. Coming to you guys live from Richmond, Virginia. I'm Cullan Kerner.
My name is Matt Antes.
And together, as Daniela said, we make up Studio, which is our private multidisciplinary design practice. And as you can see, there are Instagram handles there if you want to give us a follow. A lot of our work is posted on there, but yeah, we've just recently started this studio practice. It's entirely based in VR design and VR presentation, as you can see we're doing here. We wanted to bring some VR to the folks out there that might not have headsets and were maybe felt a bit excluded from some of the other presentations. We're bringing it into the room with you all. So yeah, Matt will introduce you to some old equipment that we had as well.
Yeah, so as Cullan said, we're Studio. I'm Matt, he's Cullan. This is a little picture of some research work that we did at Virginia Tech. We both recently graduated back in May from the Virginia Tech Industrial Design Program. You can see our robot Clementine here. She's a ABB IRB 6640, 6-axis industrial robot arm, one you'd see in like a car factory or any of those automated assembly lines. This was a retired robot that was purchased by the school that we used to 3D print furniture with a mounted a mounted thermoplastic extruder rather. So yeah, this is out at the research and design facility at Blacksburg, Virginia. And here you can see the two of us in our element. This little photo shoot we did with some of our stuff. You can see, we have our profile chair, which is the one I'm sitting on right now. Our infill table, which is right in front of us, kind of hard to see. But we've done like a little step stool. Our favorite squiggle side table. This was the first piece we ever 3D printed, along with our hairy vase and the ribbon chair.
All of these objects designed in Gravity Sketch and are here with us today. Based in Richmond, Virginia. We really love Richmond. We want to build a design culture here that's rooted in sustainable manufacturing, 3D printing, and virtual design. We want to bring a lot of these energies to Virginia and to the United States at large in general. So let's get into why we design to begin with, why Matt and I want to be designers. And that is to create functional art through innovative methods using sustainable materials. All to really foster a more personalized user experience and customer experience with Matt and I and Studio's output in general. And all of that being said, sort of to counterbalance the current corporate behavior that goes on in a lot of consumer markets, especially furniture. You get a box and are told how to put it together, but you feel very separated from the actual designers that are at these firms. So we sort of want to bridge that gap and bring more bespoke design into the homes of customers and make them feel like they can design alongside with us.
So I'll talk a little bit about what we do and what we've been doing recently. our main thing is that we, like Cullan said, we 3D print these bespoke furniture pieces that we design exclusively in Gravity Sketch. And we also have been doing a lot of smaller scale 3D printing with a little Prusa Mark III that we've been printing vases and vessels and all these VR created objects that we like to make real. And we really enjoy the VR to 3D printing pipeline. It's beautiful to be able to design something and hold it in your hand, in a matter of hours. We also do digital design consulting. We're a design consulting agency where we 3D model for companies. Our most recent client was Denholm. It's a design studio down in Australia. They do like stone furniture and installations and art and stuff like that. So we're really all over the place when it comes to what we do. But Cullan will talk a little bit here about our goals as a design studio.
Yeah, so basically, to just be a bit tangential off what we've already talked about, we want to use virtual reality to design everything. And we use Gravity Sketch to do that. And like we said before, we want to create functional art objects, meaning things that are individualized in their production, even if they are produced at a multitude of scales, that each individual good have a characteristic to it that is unique. And we want to do that through recycled materials. We find this to be a necessity given the certain circumstances currently around the world with the amount of waste trash that is discarded and otherwise forgotten about at a mass scale. So really, Matt and I feel as though it's almost a social responsibility for us to be facilitating a design culture centered around producing art, but not just for the sake of art, but doing it in a sustainable way and also a functional way.
So yeah, Cole will also talk a little bit about our digital process here.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about the digital process, and then Matt will get into some of the physical process. But as I said, we ideate and conceptualize entirely within Gravity Sketch. So this is from initial sketches where we will trace 2D reference images that we've maybe seen online, and then we will build out a robust 3D model using Gravity Sketch as well. And then we do have some ulterior or different outputs for visualization as far as our products go. So we go from Gravity Sketch sometimes to Twinmotion, which is a program that has ran through Epic Games and Unreal Engine. And then also Blender is a solid free resource, as well as Gravity Sketch for those of you who don't know, for visualization. So we really like that workflow. It's free, it's accessible to everyone. And we're trying to show how free workflows can create real valuable objects. But Matt will go through this list with you guys.
So when it comes to our physical objects, the ones we're sitting on, the ones all in this room, we start that process by taking our digital workflow and exporting our final model as a mesh, as an OBJ we normally do. Then we import that mesh into any standard 3D printer slicer. We use Prusa Slicer, but I know there's plenty of others out there. But we scale everything up in that slicer so that it's big enough to be printed at human scale. And once we have, it's the model sliced, we export that G code and we turn that G code into what's called rapid code. And rapid code is a language that that generates this toolpath. So we take that rapid code, we plug it into the robot, and it shows it how its toolpath. It's how the simulation. Yeah, the simulation rather. And once we have the rapid code loaded, we throw in some recycled plastic pellets into the hopper. We use PETG plastic most recently, but we throw all that into the extruder, then we preheat the extruder just like any other 3D printer, and we press go and go from there. So a lot of our objects are made within the same day, designed and made within the same day and stuff. But the higher end of prints usually take around like 4 hours or so. Like this table took close to 4 hours. The chair I'm sitting on took like 3 to 4 hours, but it's a pretty reasonable timeline. And then the plastic that we usually load in the hopper, ideally we'd be using recycled nylon 6, but the materials we have used is recycled PLA, fiberglass reinforced PETG, and polypropylene. The chair I'm sitting on right now, all the red objects are a basalt reinforced, so volcanic rock reinforced PLA pellets. We've been in talks with one of our old professors about potentially using algae-based biopolymers and hemp reinforced bioplastics. So we really want to get into bioplastics, sustainable, recycled materials and stuff in the future. But Cullan will talk a little bit about the robot that we are planning on purchasing.
Yeah, so upon some further investment from a numerous number of things that we're looking to go through, including a Kickstarter campaign that we're going to have up and running here soon, this will ultimately fund purchasing of some equipment like a KUKA KR16, which is a robot that Matt's going to show right here. Very sleek, very small in reference to the larger robot that we showed you earlier. But this robot is perfect for handling a payload of the extruder that we're going to show you in a second, around 16 kilograms. I'm sorry, 100 to 110 kilograms or something like that is the payload. But these robots are very small. They're very workable into small studio spaces, which is a space that we're looking to get into. And so we're basically going to be mounting the extruder onto this and 3D printing things at scale as large as this table, potentially larger, architectural applications and such like that. I'll get to the extruder now. This is a Dies Design Pulsar thermoplastic extruder. This is the most available 3D model that we had at our disposal. It has the heat shield on it, as you can see. We'll also show you a version without the heat shield, so you can see the actual barrel of the extruder. But you can see some of its specs there. Pretty boring, just numbers and stuff. But this is a state-of-the-art piece of equipment that we're really excited about using. We've built a nice relationship with Dies. They're familiar with our work and with us, and it's perfect for the size output that we want. We were previously working with a Strang Pries extruder, which is ultra expensive commercial, more architectural based extruder with a much wider nozzle. So we were able to print larger things, but we were almost downsizing our setup as much as possible, which made a lot of fabrication more difficult. So this setup with the more streamlined robot and the more accessible extruder will add a higher fidelity to a lot of our products. Matt will dive into the life cycle of some of the things that we've made though.
So sort of our design ethos is trying to create this closed loop cycle of products where we would start here at the top with our sourced plastics, whether it be, plastic sourced from the ocean or, just picked up off the streets, just trash that's, found everywhere. There's so much plastic in the world right now that, like Cullan said before, it's sort of our obligation to turn the discarded plastic into functional objects. But we take those plastic scraps and then we shred them down using just any standard shredder into these small pellets or chips. And then we load those right into the hopper, and the hopper heats that up and shoots it out the bottom, sort of just like a hot glue gun. And the beautiful thing is we could take, objects we've already printed or prototypes or, some failed prints or prints that messed up in the middle, and we can ground those right back down, throw them into the hopper and create, like I said, like a closed loop cycle. We've even talked about potentially having our customers send furniture and pieces back to us. Then we shred it back down and turn it into the newest version of their chair. Just a very closed cycle and system. But yeah, Cullan will talk a little bit about our flagship chair right here that he's sitting on currently.
Yeah, so this product is in existence. I'm sitting on it right now, but it's a prototype chair design that Matt and I spent close to 2 years developing entirely through Gravity Sketch. We really painstakingly went through the process of being that first duo to create a truly convincing piece of furniture using only Gravity Sketch and 3D printing and some other robotic automation. But it's a very simple design. It's comprised of 2 spinal pieces and then a front and back leg that differ in height to, obviously provide some ergonomics there. No hardware or adhesives are used to put this chair together. So those loose pieces you see there all clasped together using friction fitting, which was really made possible through Gravity Sketch. We were able to really get into the model at its most detailed scale and make modifications to our small prints. And then we were able to translate those to larger scale prints very easily. And then even at a large scale, when things weren't translating necessarily the same at a large scale, we were able to go back into Gravity Sketch and make very quick minor changes that were immediately sent to the robot. And we were able to really rapidly prototype and get a successful model out through that. But it's completely structural. It's really the first of its kind. It's a piece that we're really proud of. And here are some images of it taken out at the RDF Center that we showed you earlier. This was a part of our thesis presentation at Virginia Tech, and it essentially involves all of these goods that you see in a presentation very similar to this, where we were just essentially showing our work, and this chair was a focal point of that. Here you can see the frame. This was before we actually had the seat and back designed, so the frame was made first, and it was ensured to be structural, and then we moved on to creating the seat and back to adhere, perfectly into the frame, into the contours of the frame. And then, as you can see, we'll also be showing a time lapse later, but some images of the robot printing. And Matt will get into some of the tables.
So yeah, we currently have 3 tables right now. Our biggest ones are our infill tables, the one that's right in front of us, and my computer is on top of the circle table you see over there. But essentially how we made these is we took the idea of printing on top of a raft and applied that to a larger scale. So we printed a structural raft of about 2 layers of parallel lines, just a standard rectilinear infill. Then we cross-hatched it the other direction on the second layer, and then we printed our contour, our base on top of that. And once everything was cooled down and dried, we lifted it off the print bed, flipped it over, and then we had a structural table. These tables also didn't use any glue, any hardware. It's all one piece, 3D printed. And the surface condition on it, it's really beautiful. You have the layer lines running across the top of the table, and it's really flat. It's printed on a nice MDF bed. But yeah, these 2 pieces are just printed on top of each other like this. Printed that bottom piece first, and the top right over top of it. Here's some pictures of it right here. A couple pictures of our tables. So the one you see over on the right hand side is our rectilinear coffee table, and the circle boy is a little taller, sort of like a kitchen table or a poker table, as I like to call it. But this was the first thing that we ever truly printed on that robot, and it's sort of grown to be one of our favorites. It's our squiggle side table that you can see right over here. I can lift up the picture a little bit so you can see it. But yeah, it's one of our favorites, and I can pull up real quick here.
Yeah, so Matt's going to pull up a time lapse, and a quick backstory with this table. It actually is the reason for us really being here today. It was our first experiment in taking a Gravity Sketch modeled object and 3D printing it. This video is from back in 2019. We had the box fans and everything set up. But yeah, this is just a quick video of the robot actually printing this piece. And so, yeah, this design was completely conceptualized in a day. It's something very simple and gestural, but we had never seen an output really as streamlined before. Going from a design in virtual reality to having that standing structural object within less than 24 hours, it really caused us to realize the potential in this workflow, and it brought all the other objects that are in this room to life. So we'll actually move on now to the vase, some of the vases that are, sort of around the environment as well. And we make these in a really simple way as well. And Matt can actually demonstrate this within GS as we present. But we use the polar symmetry tool a lot of times in Gravity Sketch to create these forms. And they're very simple to print, and they're easy to print at full scale or a much smaller scale. So we have examples of both. I mean, this is a vase printed on the actual ABB robot back at Virginia Tech. And then you can see here, this is a much smaller vessel that we've printed on actually a Prusa, a regular desktop Prusa printer. So we've printed at all different scales, but we really enjoy creating vases in Gravity Sketch and using VR to create vessels and objects basically for the hand scale. And here are some more examples of, some more photos rather of the pieces that we've done. And we have some of these products are actually for sale on our website, which we'll show later, and also available through our Instagram. But we just have a lot of fun creating in Gravity Sketch, and we enjoy how low the barrier is for Gravity Sketch to allow designers to create real things, especially using 3D printing. So yeah, just briefly about the future of design and what Matt and I think it will look like. Just to give you guys a bit of a forecast, to all the bright people that are here connected with us today, VR to 3D printing is the future, and we believe that it's almost an inevitability. And we really think that this will benefit markets in a lot of ways, and also just design lifestyles. Using direct-to-consumer pipelines, and also more sustainable materials and methods, like Matt and I have been sort of hammering this entire time. It's really about the way the art is made as much as it is the art. And we see a lot of wasteful art and a lot of wasteful functional art as well. So we're trying to merge the thoughtfulness of design and how it's reference to the earth, and also strike a chord with something artistic that's in all of us as well. But yeah, Matt can cover the last few bullets.
Yeah, along with that, we haven't really mentioned, but part of our business model is we want to have a very custom and personalized relationship with our clients. We want them to be able to tell us what they want. And that's the great thing about Gravity Sketch and VR is it allows us to edit and customize models super quickly, and we can then make personalized chairs and tables and anything to suit the needs of the customer. And that relationship from the producer to the consumer has kind of been lost with this whole new industrial revolution of automation and creating things in mass production. We're sort of taking automation and using it in a more personalized and very direct to consumer, like Cullan said earlier before. Because you can design and print something in the same day, and when 3D printers are in the homes of everybody can have a VR headset, everybody can have a 3D printer, and they can design and print whatever they need. They don't have to go to the store, and then that's sort of everybody becomes the designer at that point. It creates a lot more independent designers, and yeah, you could just like every home has a standard 2D printer. Everybody will have a 3D printer that they can print all the odds and ends they need instead of having to go to the store.
Yeah, so that about wraps up our virtual presentation for you guys. But here are some links to our website, our email, our Instagrams. Thank you so much, Gravity Sketch, and everyone for tuning in to see us speak. We really would look forward to doing more talks like this in the future. So we're definitely looking forward to this conference next year as well. And yeah, hit us up in any form or fashion. We're looking always to collaborate with almost anyone to work on just about anything. So yeah, we'll stick around for some questions for sure, but thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions. Danielle, I can read them off. Let me switch my camera real quick.
Thanks, guys. We have a question here. So how do you test for safety? And if instead of using digital data for structural analysis, you're testing actual 3D prints, have you had any failures? And if so, how do you resolve them in 3D in Gravity Sketch?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a great question.
You talk about the single spine.
Yeah, I tried to mention that we also use Fusion 360 and a few other programs basically as cross-reference. We don't do any designing in those programs, but we do like stress testing, and a lot of our testing is really comes from the physical models, though. We really like to get hands-on and make and see what works. So this chair was originally a single spine design that through lots of small and large printing, we realized was not structural. So throughout the year and a half, we went through a process of adding a spine and modifying the actual attachment to, the piecement's attachment to one another. So it's always a process. It's definitely not necessarily easier in Gravity Sketch. If anything, it's a little bit more difficult because you have so much freedom, but it definitely balances out, and the stressors coming from making sure things are structural are alleviated by the freedom and the fun that you have from creating the object to begin with. So that's the best way.
Prototyping at that full scale, you don't have to feel bad about producing any waste, because like I said about our life cycle, you can take any of our failed prints or our failed stress test prints. If they break or snap or don't fit, you can just ground those right back down and print something new with the old material.
And we're learning. I mean, we don't have all the answers by any means. We're going to get better at all the processes that we've sort of formulaically combined together. But that's a great question, and safety is very important. I'm sort of like covered up. Oh, no, I'm not.
You're muted right now, Danielle.
I think you're muted, Danielle. Sorry.
Sorry. And so, yeah, as you've shown in your presentation, it's still like everything experimental. You're testing, you're pushing the boundaries, you're really looking to see what's possible. So I think that's really great, and it's kind of connected with one question, which is, how do you come up with new ideas and new shapes? I imagine it's quite exploratory, right?
I actually, I can address that pretty specifically, just because this chair was sort of directly inspired. It's pretty obvious, but the original Eames LCW was a lounge chair that is pretty beloved by most furniture, not only designers, but people that just appreciate no furniture. So we wanted to take that design and basically make a contemporary remix. So those proportions we figured are essentially perfected. There's not much better about that chair proportion wise. And these are chairs that were all over Virginia Tech's campus. So Matt and I were all around these. And so our inspiration really comes from objects that have been created and objects that sort of currently exist and how they can be pushed forward. And Gravity Sketch really allowed us to sort of bring in reference images and bring in specific ratios and bring in the Gravity Sketch mannequins to make sure proportions are idyllic in every setting. So working in a 3D space, it's really hard to say how we come up with ideas, because it's really an amalgam of everything. What we see 2D on our cell phones, we'll bring that in and formulate a 3D idea, and then it becomes something else. And then after nearly 2 years of working on something, ideas can just, especially in Gravity Sketch, they can sort of run wild, and it's a beautiful thing. But we're never short on ideas, and I think that's thanks to Gravity Sketch. And that's definitely something that we're never worried. We're never worried about running out of ideas. Matt and I are always like cutting ideas. We're like, no, we can't actually do that. We have to do this whole list of other ideas that we have. So Gravity Sketch really facilitates that, though. I really can't say it enough, because design before Matt and I using VR as much as we do, it felt overbearing. It felt like almost stressful to come up with ideas, but for some reason in a new environment with new tools, all of a sudden, the ideas are aplenty. So yeah. You're muted again, sorry. It's okay.
I'm muting myself, sorry. There's a lot of sound in the background, so I don't want to interrupt. Where can people find your products? Well, specifically, they're asking about the chair.
Right here.
Yeah, so we do have a website that has small vessels available. This chair is an archive piece currently. It's a prototype. We do not have multiples of it, but we're here presenting today to get some support and to get some attention from the world. We're trying to bring this design culture to America. It's something that's not really here. It's in Europe a lot. There's a lot of 3D printing going on elsewhere. but not in the States. So Matt and I are trying to bring VR 3D printing and these, this chair and all of our products into a higher output, but we need to get into a full scale space first and get full scale equipment first. But that will be within the year, hopefully. And you can support us, through all of these links here.
We recently published our website, ckmastudio.com. You can see all of our stuff there. Like Cullan said, the only things we have for sale are smaller vessels, but you can see the archive of all of our work, all of our previous experiments on our work page. We have an about page, all of that stuff. So yeah, any of this you can contact us at and follow us on Instagram.
And we will have an output at some point. So look forward to seeing this chair for sale and other pieces, because we do want to provide, pieces. We just don't want to create too much. We want to really have a limit on what we're putting out.
Very responsible. Well, thank you so much, Matt and Cullan. It has been a really interesting presentation. Definitely nothing that we've seen before, as in how were you presenting within Gravity Sketch in reality. And definitely really interesting to see how you are kind of like transforming your design process and proposing something different to the design industry by creating digitally and then digitally, additively manufacturing with robots the things that you're creating. So it's definitely something different that I hope it will spark a lot of inspiration to other designers.
Awesome.
Yeah, so too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Daniela, and everyone else. Reach out to us, please, if you have any further questions about anything.
Definitely. Well, that was the last talk of the day. It's been an incredible day full of really interesting people, really interesting stories and journeys around three-dimensional digital creation and exploration and communication. And tomorrow is not going to be different. Tomorrow is going to be, I don't want to say even better, but it's going to be as good as today. So do tune in for more industry leaders and incredible designers sharing their work. We're going to have Scott Robertson. We're going to have designers from VW, from Ford. So do tune in and make sure to keep an eye on everything that's happening tomorrow at around day 2. Thank you very much and good night, everyone, or good morning if somewhere it's like morning for you. Bye-bye.